Hey guys, what's up? UDT here, back with another episode of Recreate. In this episode, we're going to be recreating the camera from Outlast. We're going to have the zoom functionality, we're going to have the night vision functionality, and the battery functionality. Okay guys, so we're going to go ahead and get right into it. So I'm going to start off by making a new project. I'm just going to clone a basic first-person character that I have set up, and I'm going to call it Outlast Camera. Where did it go? Here we go. I'm going to go ahead and launch that. Now this project will probably end up being a couple of episodes, but it shouldn't be anything too complicated. But the first thing we're going to go ahead and do is going to open up our third person character. And then from there, we're going to add a component. We're going to add a post process. And then we're not going to touch that, we're just going to leave that as is. Going to get this out of the way. And then we're going to come back into our normal screen. We're going to go settings, we're going to go project settings. And then we're going to go input, we're going to go under action mappings and add another one. Then we're going to call this action mapping night vision. We're going to set that to N, you can set it to whatever you want. We're going to close that again, we're going to come back in here, and we're going to open up that input action we just made. We're going to then add a branch. And then from that branch, we're going to go ahead and we're going to add a variable. So the first variable we're going to have is HUD active. Going to attach that one there. Actually, you know, we'll add that in later. If I add that now, it'll get in the way. So instead of that, we're going to actually rename this one. We're going to call it is NV on. Put that in there. And then from there, we're now going to set up a basic post-process thing, so it turns it on, gives you effective night vision. So we're going to drag out the post-process, and then we're going to go set setting, one too many S's, and we're going to connect that to true. And then our settings, we're going to create another variable. This one is going to be called pp, standing for post process underscore nv. And then we're going to make this a post process settings. We're going to duplicate it. We're going to call this one normal. This will just be your default post process settings. And then we're going to leave that there for now. We'll just finish setting up the code. We'll drag out our pp.env and put that under the setting. We're going to copy paste that, so we have two of them now. Connect that to false. Then situate them however you want. I'm not too bothered about how it looks. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to delete this one because at the moment they're both set to NV. We want to have one of them to normal. And then come over here. We would then set up our is NV on. We go set and then connect those. So top one we don't want to be on. Bottom one we want to be on. So just to quickly explain what we have set up here. Apparently whenever the input action for night vision is pressed, which is set to N, so whenever N is pressed, it will check to see if NV is on, and because by default it is set to off, it will then play false, which will turn the night vision on, and then we'll set NV to on. So then the next time this button is pressed, it'll go, is NV on? It'll see that it is on, and then it will come up here, it'll set it back to the default ones, and then it will turn it off. So now what we're going to do is we're going to set up our post-processing settings. So the first one we're going to do is bloom. So with a bloom, what it does is basically just increases the brightness of light. I guess is the easiest way to explain it. You'll see kind of what it does when I turn it on. And then as well as bloom, we're going to go ahead and add some image effects. We're going to turn on the vignette intensity. Not sure if that's quite how you pronounce it. But basically what this does is around the outside of the screen, it adds like a blackness to it. Then we're going to turn on the grain jitter. We're going to set that to 0.22. And then grain intensity, we're going to set that to 0.31. And then we also need to give it a color. So we're now going to come under color grading. Going to go to global. That's not right. What is it under? Oh, it's under misc, that's what it is. When we turn the scene color tint on, and then you can select any color you want. You want to go for a dark green if you can. So I'm going to go for something around there. We'll see what that looks like. That should be it. You can change any of these settings to be customized to what it is you want, but this is just like a rough overview. So now, as you can see, I come in, I haven't got my MVs on, and I press N, and it will turn it on. So I think the green we've picked is maybe a little too dark. So one thing that I realized is the exposure we forgot to set. Also with the color, I did end up setting this to this color. This is the one I picked, so if you want to follow along perfectly, that's the color. You just enter in this top number, press enter, and I'll update the bottom one. But we forgot to turn the exposure on, so at the moment the blue will not be very strong. It won't look too good. So we're going to turn exposure to 3. To get to here, it's just lens, and then under lens you'll find exposure, and it's this one here. Exposure compensation. I'm just going to turn that to 3. So now when we come back in, we press N, you'll see it looks a lot better. It looks a lot more like the normal night vision one does. Okay, so we're now going to create a event tick. And if you already have an event tick and you need to build off of it, just make a sequencer and then put that in as your first node, and then you can attach multiple ones and they'll all play. But from our event tick, we're going to create a branch. And then from this branch, we're going to connect isEnv on. And then we're going to drag out from true, we're going to create another branch. And then from this, we're going to need to create some variables. So this is going to be for our battery. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create one, we're going to call it NV battery. And then we're going to make this an integer, and we'll compile that one. By default, I think we'll go with 80. I'd recommend doing 80, otherwise you'd have to figure out the mass later on with the HUD to be able to get it to work properly. So 80 would be best. So then with this NV battery, we're going to drag out, we're going to select get, we're going to drag out again. We're going to do greater than the integer. Then we're going to connect that to our branch. We're going to leave it as 0. And then we're going to drag out again from true and make a delay, leave it as 0.2. And then from false, we're going to drag out. Actually, no, instead of dragging out, we can get these ones. We can then connect that to false. And then make sure you drag it again and select. Actually, no, we can go set. That'll be easier. Basically, what this little bit here that I've done so far is it checks is NV on. If it is on, that means our night vision is activated. And if it's activated, we want our battery to be decreasing. And then if it gets, if it's below 0, so if our battery is below 0, that means it's comes out as false, because this checks if it's greater than 0. And then if it's less than 0, then it will then set our, our post process to normal, which is the default, and it sets NV on to off or false. If it is higher than 0 though, then it does a delay of 2, and then it will come back to our NV battery, set it, and then we want to -1 from it. So then we go drag our NV battery out, get, then we go minus, we connect that. So basically what this will do is every time it runs through this function and sees that it's greater than 0, it will -1 from 80, and then will continuously get down lower and lower until it gets to 0 before it will then turn off the night vision so we can't have it on. So I'm going to go ahead and make a print string here. I'm going to connect the print string to the NV battery so we can see what it's at. I'm going to compile, save, and then we'll play. We'll press end, activate it. You can see in the top left it's counting down from 80. Now, assuming I've set this up correctly, once it gets down to 80, it should then turn my night vision off. Okay, so as you can see there, it worked properly. It turned off exactly what it's supposed to do. Anyway, in the next episode, we'll be continuing on from that. We'll be making more functionality and setting up some of the UI, the HUD, and the zoom functionality. If you want to see that, be sure to click the link in the description below for episode 2. Anyway guys, that's all for now. See ya.